Good morning. Thank you very much for staying with New Day. And right about now, we're going into the newspapers to find out what the various front pages have for us today. And my guests are already seated. I'll just quickly introduce them, then we can go into the discussion. On my immediate left, we have Ajwa Bame. She is a member of the steering committee on Gender Violence Survivor Support Network. And that will be GNSSN. GVSSN. All right. Yeah, so Madam Ajwa Bame is on the show this morning. And then we have the second vice chairperson of the Convention People's Party, Susan Eduamankwa. Good morning.
Good morning.
And then also Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba. And he is a senior lecturer at the University of Education, Winneba, and then also UDS in Tamale, and also a medical doctor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
All right, we go straight to the front pages of the newspaper, starting with the Daily Graphic, and the front page story is 2 grabbed for possessing 887,000 Ghana cedis worth in fake notes. And it comes with a picture of the fake currency and the 2 persons who have been grabbed for undertaking that exercise. And then on the upper part of the Daily Graphic, we have brace yourselves for realistic tariffs, Dr. Donko. And then also bagged Dangote cement killing local producers, Aplau youth cry out. So we'll take a look at these stories. And then also, front page of the Daily Graphic says, ICT chamber fights NCA over broadband telephony. Back page of the Daily Graphic, Scania delivers buses for BRT project. And then Sokode Bagley gets new police station. I hope I got the pronunciation right there. The Daily Guide will be our next paper. Daily Guide will be our next paper. Front page says raid in NPP office, the inside story. And the man on the front page is one of those arrested for invading the NPP head office. And he seems to be in a hearty mood, Well, still on the front page of the Daily Guide, it says NDC group fight for running mate. And it comes with a picture of Hanatete, Doa Jaho, and then Ekos Piogabra. And according to the paper, they are likely replacements for Mr. Emisa Arthur, who is the current vice president. And as to whether the president would maintain him is another story. And then also, our report doctored. That's what the Daily Guide is saying. The front page, Weekend Finder. Danger. Waist trainers can cause blood pressure and blackouts. And then also, election 2016, Zanato, Francisca, and others blaze the trail. On the right side, Gifty Bingley grabs PR Discovery of the Year award. Okay. And one other story that is of interest to me this morning is on the front page of the Weekend Sun. The Weekend Sun. And the story says, help, ladies in mad rush for deadly abortion pills. Ladies in mad rush for deadly abortion pills. And there's also a picture of some of the pills and a lady over there. Well, on the left side of the paper, Kofi Ajololo launches the one-man war against radio stations. Says they are trash. Launches one-man war against radio stations. Says they are trash. Gruesome murder. Girl 6 dead 6 days after going missing. And beware of politicians. Mahama says they are liars. Well, the Business and Financial Times will be my last but one paper. Business and Financial Times, Ghana gas takeover hangs. And then also Gihok Ice Stock Exchange next year. Malaria costs economy over $735 million annually. Now that's surprising. And then also offer 4G spectrum to local consortium. And that's what the ICT chamber is saying. And the Ghanaian Times newspaper will be my last for the morning. Ghanaian Times front page says, Antwa chiefs warn thieves. Antwa chiefs warn thieves, will invoke powers of deity. And I wonder why they're putting a picture of the Asante Hino Osei Tutu there. And then they say, okay, and then 70 illegal recruitment agencies around. So if you're going to get a job and you're using these recruitment agencies, you need to be careful. UDS terrorist grabbed. Police commander gives fraudster a hot chase. And then I won't stay in Ghana if Exodus continues. That's according to Avram Grant, the Black Stars coach. And give 4G spectrum to locals. Okay, I think we have a fair representation of what the papers are saying. Let's delve straight into the discussion now. And we'll start with the usual suspect, the Daily Graphic. And the story there says, 2 grabbed for possessing 887,000 Ghana cedis in fake notes. Story is on page 3. It says 2 suspects believed to be members of a gang of fraudsters have been apprehended by the police for allegedly being in possession of fake currencies amounting to 887,000 cedis. 3 other accomplices have also been arrested to assist in police investigations. And let me just skip to a part of the story I think is interesting. The names of the 3 accomplices are being withheld by the police for security reasons. Salifu and Karim are said to have advertised themselves as powerful juju men who could make people rich overnight through what is known as sikadro. Also retrieved from them was a bag full of items suspected to be relics of fetish shrines used to win the trust of their victims. So sikadro and juju things mixed with fake currency. I'll start with you, Auntie Ajwa, if you don't mind. Ajwa is fine. All right. What do you make of this story? I mean, this is not the first time people have been arrested with fake currency.
No.
But linking it with the fact that now they are even bringing in juju and all of that, and sikadro for that matter.
Yeah.
How does that hit
well,
you?
I guess it's a reflection of the economy. People are going through hardships and they are trying to find ways to make means or to make ends meet and to find solutions to their problems. And so anything that offers them a quick solution to the problem, they would buy into it. And because these people don't have the powers that they claim they have, if it's sikadro, it means that you're going to give me money. Mm-hmm. So you have to give me money. Mm-hmm. And they don't have the money to give you, so they'll go into fake. And this is a gang. This has been going on for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think that as security, service providers, they should actually sit down and see where find the root cause of this problem and deal with it. Because once it comes out, there are people who take it. And the unfortunate losers are the ones who actually take the money. Yeah. You go out there, you're going to buy something, you're holding, you know it's Ghana currency, and then they tell you it's fake. It's fake. That person you're buying from cannot help you. If you succeed, then the person who has sold to you is the one who is going to suffer. So I think that really something should be done about it.
And the suffering is in the supply chain. So if you are successful and I hand it over to you, the problem becomes
if I'm successful, the problem becomes, and invariably is that petty trader who is going to suffer.
Do we have a system to get to the root? Do you think that our security forces are able to get to the very bottom of how some of these things start?
It starts from somewhere, and there are people who know what. So I believe in the ability of the security forces. No two ways. They are able to do it. It has to be concerted. It has to be continued. It cannot be a one-off thing. It cannot be by just one agency. Everybody needs to pool in to be able to resolve this.
Well, sometimes there are reports that, for instance, these 2 persons who have been grabbed are going to be prosecuted, and then they are dealt with as just them, instead of the police working with them to see where they started from, who employed them. Probably there's a foreigner somewhere connected to this, so they can get to the very bottom of it. Time and again, we do not seem to get to that part. We just keep an eye on these 2 persons, prosecute them, throw them in jail, and then that's end of story.
Sometimes the way this industry works, there are promises. Okay, if you get caught, you're on your own, but we'll take care of your family. So when they get caught, they don't talk.
Okay.
Because I'm sure that the police want a solution. But if the person is asking for information and is not getting, there's very little. Yeah, there's very little they can do. So that's what that, in my opinion, I don't know for sure, but in my opinion, because they are not able to get the truth from those who are arrested, they don't go anywhere. That's what I think.
All right, so that's what the front page of the Daily Graphic is saying, that 2 have been grabbed for engaging in fake currency and some level of juju. Let me bring in Madam Susan Idwama. Susan is fine, I'm sure. All right, yes. What's your take on this?
Well, in a society where we're gradually losing our values and money becomes a value, instead of hard work, honesty, truthfulness, etc., and money becomes a value. I mean, these things are to be expected. Yes, it's been happening for a while, but I'm sure that now we hear a lot about of it, Sakawa, etc., etc. People sit behind a computer and do all sorts of computer fraud, and they're even becoming more sophisticated. So I'm actually surprised that this is still a bit on the low level side. And I'm conventionally, I didn't think people faked the lower denominations, 5 cedis, 10 cedis. They went for the higher ones so that you could make the money. But I guess since they are posing as juju men, they needed to do that. But you see, we are fast becoming a society who want results now. People don't want to work hard. They finish school immediately. They want to be sitting in a V8. They finish school. They want a lifestyle of somebody who has worked for at least 10, 15 years. Hard work has built up wealth. They want instant wealth. And when you want instant wealth, you want the shortest possible means. It is also because we're greedy. We become so greedy. We want something for nothing. Because, look, the people who will fall for this are those people who don't want to work hard, who want something for nothing, and you'll be a sucker for such people. If you want to have honest and work hard and do the honest things, you won't fall for anything like this. If somebody says, "Come, I have to do to let you get quick money," you won't fall for this. You say, "I'm not interested." But if you yourself you are dishonest, you want to get rich quick, you will fall into their trap. And so I don't feel sorry for their victims if the victims are found, because you have allowed yourself to be duped. But yes, I agree with you. They need to find, these may be just the front men, and they may be the small fish, and there may be bigger fish behind that they need to find out. Maybe it takes a while. I'm sure some of these investigations takes a while, and then you journalists along the line lose interest because some political thing is happening. So you never get to the very bottom of it, or and the police won't come and tell you either. So sometimes we should take some of these stories, because a society without values, we will crash and burn. And if money is the be it all and end it all, which is fast becoming, we have to pause somewhere and say, who are we as Ghanaians? It's not about being rich. It's about being hardworking, about being honest, about being truly friendly for altruistic reasons, not friendly because I want something from you, and things like that. Because why do we live? We are living for eternity. We are living so that we can have eternity. Let me preach a little bit. We are coming to the end of the liturgical year. Okay. On Sunday, we start a new year. And we need to assess ourselves. We need to introspect and say, during this 1 year, from 30th November to now, how have we lived? Have we lived for eternity? The readings in the church now are about Daniel and the things that he saw, and how in the end there were 4 beasts and they were ruling, and those beasts ended up being killed by the Ancient of Days. Okay, how is it you, Martin, if today you were called, will you say, I have 10 houses, this, and God will say, no? You see, he says, to the least of my brothers, were you kind to the poor? Did you give water? Did you go to the prisons? I think that sometimes we need to look at that. Say amen.
Amen. All right, Doc.
Yeah, I want to take this issue in 2 main directions. The first issue I have with this is that I don't think we always use Sakawa to cover certain things that are security threats. I don't think Sakawa person can charm this money. This money is quite printed, parceled by somebody. So there should be some engineering and IT person behind. There should be a gang ready to make money, to put into the market and get correct money back in return. Who can print this except somebody who has a printing press, knows good IT? Our printing press in Ghana, how are they regulated? Do we take note of all people who buy in printing machines, and what do they print? That is a problem. Now, and no one can carry this money from abroad to this place. They will catch him at any of the airports. I strongly believe this is manufactured in Ghana. And we're using Sakawa to cover it. No juju person can charm this money.
It's smart enough to do it.
Yes, we are using this to cover things.
Doctor, you don't believe in Sakawa?
Look, there is nothing like Sakawa that can work. It's only what you think. If you think this water will heal your malaria very strongly, you'll be healed. It's what you believe in. If you don't believe in it, no. You see, to go and lie in the bush to make money, it will never come. People are going to church to pray more than those people, and they've not had the wealth because they failed to work. So people are working. They are using their IT knowledge to work, to make money illegally. It is left with our security agencies to track, to see how this is working. How do we curtail all this? Look, these people could be grabbed with their accomplices if Ghana had a good ID system whereby no one can possess a chip without registering it. Just go and log onto their phones, and you get all those they've communicated to in the last 2 years. And that is where you can see link with people who have something to do. You link it with somebody and link him with somebody, at the end you get him. That is why, look, in the US, you can commit a crime like this and they will catch the perpetrators. They will go to the roots and get the people who gave them the money, because these people look innocent and they are going to face the rigors of the law.
They probably do not even have an idea of how to do
this.
They are just the carriers.
They are just the carriers of it. I think we shouldn't just look at this as simple thing. It's left with our security agencies to work hard, and I would urge that government should ensure that everybody in Ghana get an identification, and the registering of chips should be very compulsory. If any chip is not registered, the IT or the telecom should be held responsible and fined heavily, because sometimes you receive calls and there's nothing. I think with just a simple phone number of these people, they would have tracked all those who did this, but we are nowhere. And they would now use this money in the market to our poor traders.
That's my challenge.
But look, Sakawa, there's nobody who will tell me that poor people go for Sakawa. People who really want money go for Sakawa because they pay heavily to those juju men. I know. People sell cars and pay. I know somebody who has sold a car and cried before and has never made the money. So you have 10 CDs. Instead of using it well, you go and give it to somebody to charm money for you. If you're not lucky, you don't get it. It's like lottery. You go, you work hard, you get. Even abroad, people do scamming on internet to defraud people. But they catch them at the end. But here we are unable to catch because nothing is registered. You can just buy a SIM and be on the internet. And no one can track you. So I think identification in the country is very necessary to curtail some of these crimes, because this is a group that is doing it. It's not two people.
Okay.
The big thing is behind.
So I'll stay on the front page of the Daily Graphic, and then just let me have it. Good. Then we'll move to the other story that is making headlines. I think we'll do the one that has to do with tariffs. We're told to brace ourselves for realistic tariffs, and that's according to Dr. Kwabena Donkor, the Power Minister. And by the way, if you have not heard,
the
badge is arriving tomorrow. We're told that
it's come.
No, it's tomorrow. 28.
Yes.
Oh well, I heard that they were birthing at the Takrady.
Okay. So I think that the story would be that it is tomorrow they are unveiling, and then the proper ceremony to welcome it. So maybe it is birthing today, then they will let us know
Outdoors
tomorrow. It'll be small. It wouldn't be a small ceremony. We'll go and drum and dance and welcome the badge. All right. So the doctor, Kwabena Donkor, is saying that he is urging consumers of electricity to brace themselves for realistic tariffs because cheap power from hydro will no longer be available. He said the only way to sustain the business of power generation was to produce power above the cost of generation in order to break even. And he said this in Sydney Takrade. I'll start with you on this one, Susan. I mean, over time, there's been that debate. Do they provide the power, then we pay, or we should pay realistic tariffs, then they give us reliable power? Which one would it be for you?
That's a tough. I mean, but Dr. Kor is not singing a new song. I mean, if for anything, he's been very consistent with this particular tune. Yes. So, yes, in some ways, we must brace ourselves for new tariffs. It's an inevitable thing. We will definitely have to pay more. We're not saying we won't pay more. Okay. What we are saying is that if you fix the loopholes, and do the right things, we may not necessarily have to pay what you are asking us to pay. That's all we are saying. Nobody is saying that we don't want to pay realistic this thing. But what are realistic prices? You understand? Mm-hmm. I mean, a realistic price is that when you fix your tariff, that 95% of the people will pay, and that will cover your cost. When actually only about 50 to 60% of the people are actually paying, then that is not fair. You get it? That is not then realistic. So we are willing to pay realistic tariffs, as long as those realistic tariffs are actually realistic, because you are not losing out in terms of illegal connections, in terms of MDAs not paying, in terms of technical losses, etc., etc. Then if you say we should pay realistic prices, nobody will have a problem. So your realistic price may not necessarily be what is actually realistic, because all these losses are taking place. Right. I have heard of whole communities who are not paying electricity because they got some high-level politician to give them meters, and they were all metered, and that whole community was not paying for 3 years. That is frightening. That means those of us who are paying, and they already know us to be paying, we continue to pay higher tariffs, which actually are not realistic. So we don't have a problem paying realistic this thing, as long as all those losses are fixed. And MMDs. I mean, the last time we heard that the naval base in Takrade were owing about 2 million, etc. I mean, in the Western region alone, those who hadn't paid was amounting to 18 million. That's a lot of money, and I'm sure it's not limited to them. There's so many MMDs. I mean, we want to know that those prepaid meter things that MMDs were supposed to do, have they actually done it? Is there proof of it being done? And then, we want to see that lights are not being left off at MMDAs that are not paying electricity. We should check the system. If we've put everything into place, and you say that after making sure that my technical losses are reduced, after making sure that illegal connections are punished severely, because they are economic saboteurs, and that has also been reduced to the barest minimum, that those who actually are supposed to be paid have paid, and this is what I'm coming out, then that is realistic. But if you tap your tariff to saying that 95% of people will pay, and actually it's not 95% of people who are paying, then you put the burden on those of us who are trying to do the right thing, and that definitely is not realistic. So, Dr. Donkor, yes, we want to pay realistic, but what is your realistic? Because his realistic may not necessarily be the actual, no, not my realistic, the actual realistic.
Doc?
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with paying for something that is available, and that is quality. That is what the consumer wants. If we say we won't pay realistic tariffs, so therefore the industry should ground down, then we are all going down. So I think, like she said, we really try to capture all those who are not paying to pay, and also ensure that PURC ensures that transmission losses are minimized, because that would be a charge on us for not using that current. They should make sure it is worked and reduced to the barest minimum. Look, if you take a fridge in your house that you have doom sort today, and tomorrow you start it, you realize that you would consume double of what you were supposed to consume today. But if you have constant current, according to the physicists, and your fridge is working continuously, you end up consuming in 2 days half of what you consume in 1 day.
Okay.
So I think if we really get constant supply of current, and we have to pay realistic tariffs, we will realize that what we're buying monthly, we may even buy less.
Yes.
So we would urge and pray that this thing comes through and the issue is fixed and the current is stable, then people can buy gadgets and the gadgets would last, because the on and off alone is detrimental to we consumers.
Exactly.
It's detrimental to the provider, because we won't pay because they are destroying our gadgets. And when you destroy our gadgets, we won't have gadgets to use for you to charge us. So it is a welcome news, and everybody should really appreciate, if really we have constant supply and stable current, that let's pay to grow, and we'll use less at the end, because within 1 year, 2 years, if everything is stable, we'll realize that we'll be using less current. But my worry is our constructions in Ghana. I'm seeing edifices that are constructed for snow countries.
For snow countries.
Yes, winter countries.
Yeah.
Glass windows, glass doors, everything is sealed. And the carbon emission we are producing is very high. And this is causing a lot of drain onto the economy. We are putting up buildings that does not commiserate our weather here. So you go to your office and you have to put the AC at 18 or 16. You are going to consume a lot of electricity. You see the person also wearing coat on top. He wears a shirt, long sleeves, wear a coat, and he tightens himself, get into a hot room and puts the 80 at the lowest temperature. We're consuming a lot. I think there should be a way out whereby, especially the public institutions and even private institutions, to regulate. I know in France they've done it before. Between some hours of the morning, you can put on the AC. And you can't wear on a coat when you enter the office. You remove it and leave your shirt. Whereby you are not
and
forced to put
around
on
that time
is good. So you are not forced to put on the AC to consume. That way will reduce the demand on the generators and will reserve current and energy and to help the economy. So there should be a policy to help direct this. Not only we paying, but we trying to maximize the current we have. Use little and allow the generators to rest. Because look, Akusombo is getting dry. I'm from Tamale, and when we are flying to Accra, you look down, you see the banks of the river is dried. I think they would have to shut some of the turbines after December. And if this thing hadn't come, I think it would have been worse. So even this coming, I still have fear, though they are trying to work and other generating centers are coming up. But let's try to reduce consumption. Make sure we off lights when we don't need it. Make sure we plug off our TVs when we are not using it. Make sure we don't leave our telephones connected unnecessarily, and because it's consuming. And that will force the generators to work hard and consume more fuel, and other people will be deprived and there will be load shedding. There must be a change even in the bulbs we use in this country. All the bulbs.
I think that was one of the highlights of former President Kufuor's administration, when they insisted that we used energy-saving bulbs.
But even control the type of bulbs that come. We have bulbs that come into this country. I don't know what they do, whether there's quality assurance in our ports. Standards. They just enter with any bulb. You fix it tomorrow, it's blown, even if the light is stable. They are cheating our economy because they are exporting products to us that we don't regulate how they enter the country, and we end up paying more for what we shouldn't pay for. So I think there is a whole lot of issues around it, not only the tariffs, because you may get good tariffs and you can enjoy it. Yeah. Okay. So what this is
although I agree to a very large extent what my two colleagues have said, for the woman on the street, for the young lady on the street who is carrying her orange or selling her water, this is scary.
Having to pay more.
Yeah. But you see, if you listen to Susan's analysis, it might not, if they did the right thing, we might not have to pay more. If they sealed all those loopholes that is draining the, what do you call it, the whatever revenue we are getting from the supply of electricity, they might not have to pay more. But I think that no matter what happens, if we have to pay more, we should look at those who are not able to pay and do something about it. Because we find that the people who can rather pay do not pay.
Yeah.
And that's a serious indictment on the nation. The people who can pay should be made to pay. And those who cannot pay, we should put measures in place. We have a social protection process in the country. We should look at expanding some of these things, And of course, as citizens, we should look at how we can save electricity in our own ways. Because if the tariffs are set and we don't pay, we don't get it.
There's what they call the lifeline. Those are people below 50. They consume lesser than a certain. They are not billed. They do not pay for it. But like you mentioned, statistics have also shown that there are people who can pay and must pay, but do not pay.
You know where this problem comes in? Because the 50 is a unit. Where is a compound house and we have 1 meter?
What?
1 meter. It will certainly go above but there will be people who are also individually below that line. So what happens? And Susan says get a separate meter. It's not an easy thing getting a meter in Ghana. I'm sure you know that.
They are trying to review the system. That's ECG.
Well,
Should we see that the president opened a meter factory?
Yes. So hopefully
there will be more meters.
Seriously, I'm hoping that there are meters that work, because these little ones that become like you go to the ECG office and it's interesting. Everybody is holding that little. One time I asked one of the officers there. I said, "Okay, what's the actual lifespan of this machine?" Because these things were introduced into the country not too long ago. But it's like every day, when you get to any ECG office, there are people, they're not really coming for change. They're holding it because there's a problem, they can't figure it out.
Okay.
They have bought their credit onto the card. They have inserted the credit. It's not working. And you can't even just make a call so it's fixed. You go there without it, they'll ask you to go and bring it.
Hey.
I think that's unacceptable.
I'm sure the ECG officials watching the show this morning, you have been told.
And I'm sure the ones that have actually had to go out to say this woman.
I remember Upper West recently, they went and chased people to pay bills, and they made an amount of 100 and something million just in WA.
There you go. Wow.
Easy. It means that there are a lot of people who are not paying. And as she said, we really need realistic tariffs. Not hot.
And I particularly am excited about the ECG's decision to cut supply to some institutions that have to pay but are not paying. If you are indebted beyond a certain limit, they cut supply. If you do not pay, you do not consume. And so
I wasn't happy the way they made scapegoats of certain schools and stuff like that, because I'm sure there are other institutions that owe more, but I guess it's a strategy to
beat who you can.
Pick and choose your battles. But you see, the thing is that one institution will suffer either way. It either will be ECG or the Polytechnic, or the naval base, or something like that. We need to find a proper balance, because in the system. So we need to look at the whole system. We shouldn't just look at it on the surface of it, and look at why are institutions owing so much, and what is it, because they are making ECG suffer, and ECG won't be able to pay its bills to VRA and etc. And in the end, all of us we suffer. So we need to look at the whole payment system, especially between MMDs and ECG and consumption. Look, my facility that I work in Noguchi, when we have electricity, we don't consume electricity because we have a solar farm. Okay. So the solar farm is powered by electricity. So as soon as the electricity comes on, it powers the solar farm, and then the solar takes over, and then that is what we consume. So when there's no electricity, we end up using a generator, which costs more. When there's electricity, we end up using little. Or no electricity at all, because all that we need is what will power the solar farm, and that takes over. And these are things that we can do, for a lot of the MMDs, so that they use the barest amount of electricity. You make that, it's an expensive investment, because it costs a lot of money, and we were fortunate that the Japanese government did it for us. But it is long-term.
Investment.
You know, it's a long-term investment. And if you have these hospitals and the polytechnics, they are there forever. And so we need to make that investment. They use the barest amount of electricity. They have the solar farm, the electricity comes, it powers it. And so they're using the barest amount of electricity. And that's, they don't have all those huge bills to pay. So we need to look at, you know, different aspects of it and how to solve it. As for now, I don't know how they will pay, but and whether it's going to become a bad debt or, you know, but anyway, I'm not going to worry my head over that for the meantime. Yes, but going forward, we need to put solutions into place that come next year, we are not talking about these things over and over and over again. And otherwise, we become a people who get the experience and don't learn the lessons.
The badge has come.
The badge has come. The badge has come. You are going to put food in it. It's expensive. And no. Who is paying for that? Who is paying for that oil that is going to that? I'm going
You want to pay for it.
But they should do the introduction gradually. Who would beg? They should do it gradually. It shouldn't be boom.
Yes, I mean,
so
those who can pay should pay. And there are people who can pay.
Yeah.
There are people who cannot pay. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Some people will be scared with these things, especially when we are sitting here talking. They'll say, look at them, because you can pay, you're saying what you're saying, you know. But once we have done our homework well, we have covered all those things. There should be, you know, concessions and things for some of the people who really cannot pay. But
you see, there's some people who cannot pay and they don't care if he's not there. Because, I mean, as long as they come, he has a small, radio, his one light, his small fridge. If the thing becomes too much, he shuts all off and he's living.
For me, the amazing one is the street lights. Why don't we have the solar panels on the street? I mean, the sun is on how many hours a day?
That's an observation that I think.
And when any community is out of, you know, like on the doom, the place is scary.
So dark. Yeah, it's true. Well, like I mentioned, ECG and its officials are watching the street light. Why are street lights not on solar? So that at least we can get those ones off the national grid.
Absolutely.
So then
we'll
find ways
I think there were some of them on, but maintaining them was a problem also.
It was done by somebody for whatever.
Pilot basis, they were trying.
Well, yeah. I think it was an individual during a certain campaign period, you know, just to make people comfortable. But it's all, I think that, you know, as a nation, we should do that. It's very important.
We go to the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times, and the front page story says, Antwa chiefs warn thieves. Chiefs and thieves. Antwa chiefs warn thieves will invoke powers of deity. And then also 70 illegal recruitment agencies around. Let's start with the Antwa story. I was amazed yesterday that for almost 3/4 of the day, the word Antwa was trending on Twitter and on Facebook. Surprisingly, Antwa was number one trend. Okay, so the story says custodians of the strong room of the powerful deity Antwa Nyama in the Kwabre East district of the Ashanti region, which was raided by thieves, have threatened to invoke the deity to deal with the culprits. Gold ornaments and other valuables worth thousands of cedis were stolen from the house, which police said yesterday was near the chief's palace and served as warehouse for ornaments of the royal family. Anyone connected to the incident should own up to avoid any mishap, or we will invoke curses and bring shame onto them, they stated. And I don't know why it comes with a picture of that Santehene Otumfuo the second. And I'll start with you, Doc, on this one. I'm sure you've heard the Antwa story.
Yes, I've heard of it. But to me, it's very funny to have such a wealth. I don't know, I've never been to the place, I've never seen a picture of the place. But if you have such wealth, security must be very tight in that place.
No, but let's look at the other.
I'll come there.
Okay.
Yes. You have gods protecting the wealth, but you still have to get security to protect the wealth. Really, if the gods were strong enough, were really what we think they are, I don't think they would have made the person to walk out of the room because it is theirs. But do a god really need wealth? That wealth. do a God really need that wealth in that place? To
Maybe
be what? To pacify him or what?
They're protecting it for
When this can be used to invest, I think it could be used to expand a lot of cocoa farms for the young people to work, or get some irrigation dam somewhere for the youth to get to cultivate onions and do something and get some job doing. All due respect to our traditions. But then, where we think that our tradition is pulling back our development, we need to change it. Because this is so much they've said about the world that was there that I didn't believe. I even think if they had put that thing in Bank of Ghana, I think people will still go in and read it. But people now don't trust in some of the gods.
Exactly my point.
Because
the latter-day youth do not fear these.
I like that.
It's just like the Christians will tell you believe in Jesus and go to heaven, and the Muslims will tell you believe in Muhammad and go to heaven, and our gods will also tell us believe in our idols and go to heaven. So who should we believe and go to heaven, and who should we not believe? You see, so people are see that objects are used to represent gods. So to us, they are objects. They've gone to this, their Sakawaji people say, I don't trust it, to see that those things don't even do anything. What they have is courage to do what they are doing. And I would advise that institutions or traditional leaders who have a lot of wealth should go to the bank and buy a safe and put them there, or trade them for interest and use it to help the youth that are idling about without job, to help our poor people, because no one now trusts the gods if he's hungry. Because those people who went there, I think they're hungry and they need money to do something. Yes, so they're going to take them and then turn them into something else to make money. That is my thing.
For me, it's interesting, because what we know of Antoine is nothing compared to what, I mean, it's unbelievable that people can actually dare.
Antoine.
But maybe we should look at what actually motivated them to do what they did. Because look at all this wealth that is being gathered by that deity. All they are saying is, probably this is in the wrong place. We need it for other uses. Don't keep it here. But I think that when we are talking spiritual things, we need to tread cautiously. Because there are people who still believe in Antoine. And even that's why they're even giving the threats, like we revoke curses. And curses work. No matter your belief, curses work. So I think that they should deal with this thing in a very humane way. Okay, they are probably putting out these threats with the hope that the thieves will actually bring it back, and I hope that works.
Can they use the powers they have to get the people to return it, rather than probably kill them off somewhere?
But Martin, I'm sure that they know what they can do, but they probably are giving them a second chance. But you see, I think that there's an insider who is helping with this whole thing, and that's how they need to treat it. Because you and I sitting here don't know what's there. To even plan how we can raid the place, there's an insider who is giving them all these things, and they need to look at it. And probably that's the reason, because it's like it's one of their own who is involved, and so if they invoke any curse, it will affect them eventually. It's interesting that it's making all this news. Really, really interesting, because normally these spiritual things you want to keep it in some secrecy and stuff like that, but I don't know what's informed. And you were talking about why they're linking it to I think the wealth there is for the royal family. Yes, so they protect it from the royal family. It's interesting. But like Doc is saying, buy a safe at the Bank of Ghana and keep your wealth.
There are many aspects to this. I disagree with Doc when he says that they should sell them, because this is what those people are going to do. But some of these things are heritage. We don't sell them. I mean, you can go to a museum in Holland, and they have ornaments that come from Africa, and you would wish that we would have them in our museum here. Yes, but they should put more security. Yes, you see, it is trending because we are not just physical beings. We are spiritual beings. And so, as much as we are so concerned with our physical outlook and etc., etc., we are also very much aware that we are more than what we see, and there is more to us. And so it will trend. It will trend because we are spiritual beings. If we were not, we will be like the dog. You die, and that is the end of you. But that is not how it is. So, when I heard it at first, I just smiled to myself. I said, you know what? God is able to defend himself. The smaller deities should be able to defend themselves also, because the smaller deities, they do exist. Today my Bible has come out. You remember the story where I think Moses, the Pharaoh's magicians, challenged Moses, and his snake ended up swallowing all the other snakes. You remember Elijah? It was Elijah, when the 400 of Baal's priests he slew, but anyway he ran away from one woman. So the women are powerful. But so I smiled to myself. I said, okay, let's see Antoine defend themselves. It's a river god. I don't know whether it's a she or it's a he, but let's see Antoine defend itself. But you see, the curse may not be immediate. Yep. It may be passed on from generation to generation. And then you find out that something is happening in the family that is happening in the family, and nobody knows why. And it may be because something like this happened. So, if the chiefs, they know the history, they know the tradition, and they say, bring it back so that things don't happen to you, you may think that it is okay, I have taken it, I have sold it, I'm living the life, I'm living la vida loca, and nothing is happening to me. But it may happen to your children and your children's children. Do you want to do that? But let me finish. Let me finish before I lose my train of thought. Another thing that I thought about, I said, yes, maybe it is another powerful God that has told them to go and steal, to show Antoine that you are nothing. You're lost of him. Because we know about the fights between Zeus and Hades and Poseidon. They were brothers, Poseidon was the brother of Hades or Zeus, and the fights between them, that was manifested in the human world. That is if it was true. But so, that was another aspect of it that I looked at and said that, for all you know, another deity has said that, look, Antoine, I will show you that people are not afraid of you, so I will let them come and steal your ornaments. We don't know. It may be happening in the spiritual realm because we are spiritual people and we don't have the eyes to see. But stealing is stealing. It is wrong. Whatever it is, if the culprits are caught, they should be dealt with like the law deals. They should be dealt in the physical, like how we
exactly. But then even this, how do you Doc, make your submission, then I'll ask
my submission was that there was something you said about our traditional, our cultural heritage. Yes, we have a cultural heritage. Do we make good use of our cultural heritage? You go and put such ornaments that could attract millions of cedis in a month. If they had built a very nice exhibition place, call it the exhibition or cultural center of this, put security cameras, put a cafeteria around, make the environment close, very neat. Tourists would troop in to watch these ornaments. And those boys who came to steal this might have been the security guards there who get salaries.
Yeah, but you see,
so why do we hide our ornaments that can be used to get money as a traditional spiritual thing? If it can really make money to reduce our problems, are the spirits not there to protect us?
Yeah, but Doc,
how can it protect me when I'm hungry?
Doc, they could actually keep it in that mud as a camouflage, because you won't think that there's such wealth hidden in there. So that's why I'm saying that this is an insider job, because ordinarily you won't think that.
That is why I don't believe about our cultural heritage, because we've not exposed it for other people to see it. Look, I've been to Italy, I've even been to the Vatican, I've paid money to go in and look at cultural heritage, and I've seen a lot of things from Ethiopia, even from South Africa, even from Ghana. And we pay €20 to enter and watch those things. That brings a lot of money, and more than 2,000 people enter there in a day, paying 20 cedis, just minimum. If we had that thing here exhibited as our cultural heritage, tell the girls, look, wait, we're going to look money for the young boys, and exhibit it. And tourist comes, pays 10 cedis, goes and watch, and buys food there by a food seller, buy some drink, People working there make money. We're generating wealth. We'll build guest house hotels, and people will troop to Kumasi or to those places and watch it. I think we can
look at it from.
We're not modernizing our culture.
Exactly.
That is it.
We are still where we are. Antwa. The other angle I'm looking at is, when do we draw the line between spirituality and the law? Because legally, if these we'll term them as thieves. Yeah. So would the spirits deal with them, or would the gods and the people who believe in them deal with them when they are caught, or when they are caught, they are taken to the police for the laws of the land to deal with them? How do we draw that line?
It's left with the owner of the property to decide what he wants to do.
Absolutely.
If he wants to go through by using the laws, he goes to the police and report the case, and they will start to investigate. When they grab them, then they will then decide to prosecute them. But if they say, no, we're going to use the gods to get us the people, it's up to them. It's always, though it is not in our constitution that gods can look for people and punish people. It's not there. Right? And somebody may die casually and they may relate it to it. That is the unfortunate thing. Somebody may die and say, oh, we think he's associated with this, and the whole family would be tagged. So we have to be very careful with that. Yeah, I think it is up to them to decide the way they want it. But I hope they'll find it, and we can use it to make a museum to get the youth work to do. Yeah.
I like your thinking this. Yeah. All right. Because we're running out of time, we'll take a quick bite on the front page story that the Weekend Sun carried. It says, "Help! Ladies in mad rush for deadly abortion pills." There's this other story that I think is quite interesting. The one that has to do. What the Weekend Finder is reporting, where they're saying that women are using waist trainers, and it's causing blood pressure and blackouts. Okay, so we probably could link both somehow. Stories on page 16 of the Weekend Sun, and I'm going to dig it out immediately and then read it. It says that they enjoy the brief fun while it lasted. They savor it, and when wished it never ended, and then wished it never ended. But to many Ghanaian ladies, the end result of sex, giving birth to children, is detestable. They abhor it and can go to the extent of risking their lives to avoid such. In most occasions, in 1985, the Ghanaian government took a softer stance on abortion, allowing it to be an option in cases of rape, unlawful defilement, and on occasions where such pregnancy poses a threat to the mother's health. But for so many reasons, major of which are cultural and religious, abortion remains a taboo that would not be touched with the longest stick. To many Africans, abortion is seen as, well, I think the story is too winding. But the story, the story says the drug, which is supposed to be dispensed based on prescription according to checks, have become over-the-counter drugs which are made available to any individual once they can pay the price. The prices often differ and are sometimes bargained for, but it is often sold between 50 and 200 cedis. Fortunately, we have a medical doctor, we have a pharmacist, and we have someone a general practitioner, a gender advocate on the show today. They're going to help us digest this issue. Let me start with the doctor. What kind of drug is this? What is it supposed to do?
Cytotec is a drug that can be used to treat two main diseases. One, if you're having severe stomach gastritis, inflammation of the stomach, and you have the tendency to bleed, doctors can prescribe it for you to take with meals, and then the bleeding, it will cause the blood vessels to constrict in the stomach, and the bleeding stops. Doctors can also use it to put it in women who are in the process of labor, in their delivery channel, and then the cervix of the uterus would open freely, quickly, so that the baby comes out without delay. Doctors can also use this as per the laws to give to anybody who has been raped or who is a minor and doesn't want the pregnancy, and then the rest. So they put it into the birth canal again, and then it will ripe the uterus and cause the cervix and cause the uterus to contract, and the fetus or the fecundation sac comes out. So this is what that drug is used for. It is supposed to be prescribed by a doctor.
Purely under
prescription.
Yes,
it has its side effects on the heart and the cardiovascular system, the blood vessels, the heart, and then the rest, which is not good. If you don't use it very well and you abort and all the material doesn't come out, you could bleed to death. You could bleed to death. But I asked myself, who made it an over-the-counter drug? Where is the Food and Drugs Board? Where is the Food and Drugs Board? We have in so many herbal shops that are now selling even antibiotics. I think there should be a proper control. I'll leave this to Food and Drugs Board to take proper control and have a look at it. But we tout ourselves as the religious country. A lot of Christians go to church 10 times in a week. A lot of Muslims, we pray 5 times in a day. And our tradition frowns on abortion. Our traditional traditions, our culture frowns on abortion. But where are we going? Is it that, okay, I'll leave that to her to analyze that, because I'm seeing that it seems we just going to church and praying and doing other things for nothing, but we rather practicing the opposite.
Let me ask the pharmacist and then maybe you conclude. How easily accessible is this drug? And in your practice, is this something that people regularly seem to come for or take?
I don't practice as a pharmacist.
But you are. Okay.
But I'm finding myself in a tight position because it's actually, it brings a microscope on pharmacy practice in the country and how it should be.
Yeah.
Normally, if you don't have a prescription, you must not have access to a prescription drug. It's as simple as that. The rules must work. What is happening is that you have chemical sellers who are supposed to be selling over-the-counter drugs, who are now selling prescription drugs, and they have no expertise, no knowledge on how to do that. It's just about profit, money. Yes, you will find pharmacists too who may be doing a similar thing. At least they are coming from an expert point of view and they may show you, etc., etc. But it is still wrong. The bottom line should not be about money. It should be about doing the right things. Because even in our next door neighbor in Ivory Coast, if you don't have a prescription, you cannot get a prescription drug. It's as simple as that. We have put the drugs in certain classes, and we should be able to stay that. And so it's the Pharmacy Council that must ensure that the pharmacy practice is going on as it should be. Okay. That, things are done properly. In a place like Accra, there should not be chemical shops, really. There should only be pharmacies, because the chemical shops were put there for areas where pharmacists could not be, so that they could support in some ways. Look, you will find all the pharmacists in Accra, and you will find the majority of chemical sellers also in Accra. It's not the right thing. It's untenable. You get it. And so what happens that there is competition, and because there's so much competition, people are doing the wrong things. The chemical sellers were supposed to be in the hinterlands or in places where there were not enough pharmacists so that they could serve a certain purpose. That purpose has been thrown away. And so they are all here, all the pharmacists are here, and what happens is that, people now can't even differentiate who a pharmacist is and who a chemical seller is, and that is wrong. I think that the Pharmacy Council need to set up.
Right.
What we need to do is to ensure that if we have the pharmacies, there's always a pharmacist present at all times. If the superintendent pharmacist cannot be there, let a locum pharmacist be there. Then let us move the chemical sellers out of the city areas and send them to. And let us find incentives to also put pharmacists in the hinterlands. Yes, and make sure that they stay there. Let us give them rural allowances. Let us do the things, and then let us also stop prescribing doctors. Okay, doctors sit in their consulting rooms and have all sorts of drugs there. Look, the expert on drugs is the pharmacist. That is why we go to school 6 years now, so that we can come up. Yes, definitely. You understand? And the expert on illnesses and diseases are that we do teamwork. Yes, we complement each other. We do the checks and balances. You understand? But that is not happening in the system. So let us also stop prescribing doctors, because doctors are sitting in their consulting room with all sorts of drugs and they're giving out. So these things may not just also be in shops. They may be happening in consulting rooms. I think that we need to look at the whole sector, the pharmaceutical sector, service and medical practice, and then streamline it so that our people benefit from it. And then we enforcement. Foods and Drugs, Pharmacy Council, ensure that these things don't happen, because it puts all of us, our reputations on the line. Yes.
Well, I would say education. Because a lot of these young girls, a lot of these ladies who are rushing for these drugs probably do not even know the side effects of these drugs. And if you find any lady who finds herself in the family way, as it were, but is not a member of a family, the desperation that presents itself, they are willing to do anything. So they need to be guided. And I think, like Susan says, the pharmacies and all these things should be regulated. Because if they don't have access to it, they might go for other options, which are also deadly. But we need to help our ladies. And as parents, we need to educate our children. These things happen. But you want to do things the right way, because two wrongs never make a right.
All right.
I see we are running out of time.
Yes, exactly. So, as they say,
a
word to a wise.
After pill is also being abused, you know.
After
any pill that is abused is wrong.
I don't even know what the after morning.
I want to say properly. You were correcting me.
Okay, so that will be it for our show.
You and Benny, you didn't mention Benny
today.
My
colleague. We help. Yeah. Let me say a big thank you to my panelists, starting from the far right, Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba. He is the senior lecturer at the University of Development Studies, UDS in Tamale, and also a practicing medical doctor. And then also Susan Edwamankwa, second vice chairperson of the Convention People's Party,
and a pharmacist.
Right. And then also and then also Ajwa Bameshi is the member of the steering committee, Gender Violence Survivor Support Network, GVSSN. All right, and also a gender advocate. Absolutely. All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.